So we've got the other side somewhere, wherever you are. We've got you as well, so that's cool. Anyway, I think we should go over to Santos now. Santos, it's all yours.
Oh, right, thanks guys. Just got on the mic and muted it. Had trouble. It just kept going off. Alrighty,
Okay.
so yeah, sound good?
You sound good.
Great. All right, well this is part 2 of how to understand everything simply and correctly. And that doesn't necessarily imply that we can understand everything at once. It's how to have the formula, how to understand how to acquire the knowledge of everything. And there is only one way, and that is the natural system. Nature, of course, is extremely intelligent. The intelligence of nature is unlimited, and nature displays that at every turn. And so we are, just excuse me, I've just got to shut the door. Yeah, that was very, very cold. I felt that very, it's freezing here. I've taken my scarf off because otherwise I look too cumbersome, but it is cold. Now, so how to understand everything is at our grasp. We probably have been indoctrinated to reduce our potential and probably our ability to understand more than we do. And so the great teachers of the great sciences of nature, they protected their wisdom and their books from antiquity in such a way that they were very protective, and they became what's called mystery schools, where they would protect that knowledge. And Christianity is one of those schools. Islam is another one. They're all schools. They're called religions these days because they've been corporatized, but they are religious science, yes, but as for religion, that's another matter altogether. That's a political construct. Okay, when people say they belong to a religion, that means that they are Mormons, right? But their denomination is Christian, therefore the religious science that they practice is Christianity. And it differs, it does not differ from Buddhism and Shintoism and Hinduism, just in names. This is what confounds the churchgoers, and they will never understand this, nor will they discover it, that we all have a common theme. We all have a common place where we got our science from. We all have the same nature. God is one, and they all say that, you see. The Hindus call him Krishna, the cowherd. The Westerners call it Christ, the shepherd. Aries, Taurus, the two signs that control the body. Therefore, the legs move because Aries says, move, the Lamb of God. And the holy cow with the cerebellum says to move, and the principle of the Taurus now puts the body in action. So it's always going to be Christ and Krishna, the shepherd and the cowherd. Okay, so those animals are symbolic, and they depict certain archetypal energies of the Taurus field. And so what we learnt last week is we based everything on this, as I've done with all my presentations. Everything is this sine wave. The ecliptic, the equator dividing the wave. The wave amplitude is the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. The wavelength is that long. So this describes a Taurus field. This describes electromagnetic energy because that's the sun's ecliptic and the course it takes over the flat Earth as it does its journey with the planets and dragging the planets with them through the zodiac. We learnt that about the zodiac last week, and that it is the firmament. So this is the firmament in the back, the stars and the planets, and God placed the firmament in the heavens on the fourth day of creation. Well, see, this is the sine wave. All sine waves do this. There's no difference. As above, so below. All atoms are doing this. The electron is this, the ecliptic. The neutron is this, the equator. The proton is the wave amplitude. So the reason why I always use this one is because this one has the yearly information. It shows how humans behave during the year and all the festivals that are along this ecliptic. Here is always Aries, Easter. Wonder why Easter always starts there and why Christmas is always here at the bottom. One is at the solstice. The other one is at the equinox. That's the equinox, and these are the two solstices. And every wave does this. There's no difference. All waves start at Aries and end at Pisces. All of them. Because along those signs, all those signs, they all are elements. Earth, fire, air, and water, which describes how the torus field in its 12 parts produces those elements. And that's how nature is created. 4 elements: solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. Earth, water, air, and fire. So it's not hocus pocus science. It concurs with mainstream science. And it is a science because it talks about the elements that we know. So that's what we're going to do, continue with part 2. And we're going to put as much information on that sine wave as possible. All the nursery rhymes, all the fairy tales, all the gospels, all the sciences, everything is going to be syncretized on that today. So before I proceed with this, I want to correct 2 things from part 1, where I established this this way of syncretizing everything along the sine wave. And we finished the hangout last week with the 9/11 scenario. We looked at it astrologically to see how beautifully astrology perfectly describes all the events of the day. You can see them unfolding as the planets go around. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to go back to that because I have to fix something that I did wrong. Okay, so what I did wrong was this. I put in the time here in New York at 8:46 in the morning. Okay, 8:46 in the morning was when the first plane hit. And then I was supposed to put 9:03 over here for the same day, but I didn't. What I did was I put in 2 days earlier, I put 9/9/2001. So I put the 9th of September rather than the 11th of September.
Oh.
Being Australian, we have the date first, whereas in America they put the month first, 9/11. So September 11. We say the 11th of September. So that was the confusion. And the only difference was that the moon was so far advanced in houses, but it was way earlier in sign. You can see that the moon is just coming out of Taurus, going into Gemini, whereas it should have been like this. Okay, so that's the only difference. So you'll have to watch, if you're watching this now, you won't understand what I'm talking about. You'll have to go and watch part 1, which I recommend anyway, because you will only understand 10% of today's presentation if you don't watch part 1. And so what I said was that the moon was well advanced into the house of death, which is the 8th house, but that's not true. That's the only thing that was incorrect in my reading. So I'm going to just cancel this now. So remember where the moon is here in the 8th house, just at the cusp of Gemini and Taurus. It should be here. This is the second plane crash. Moon is still in the 9th house, the house of travel, but yes, that's the point. The grand trine is still there. So with this scenario, the grand trine is not, it's opened up here. So this beautiful equilateral triangle, I said was not there on the day, which is wrong. It was, because this is the incorrect one from 2 days prior. Okay, so I'll get rid of that, and we'll just concentrate now on tidying up what I was talking about. This is the first plane crash, and you can see what I was pointing out was that Saturn and the Moon and North Node and Jupiter are all in the house of travel at that moment. 15 minutes later, you see Saturn has advanced 15 minutes when the second plane crashes. Only Saturn has entered the house of death from the house of travel, and not the Moon, where the Moon was over here between Gemini and Taurus 2 days earlier. Now, of course, because all the planets are going anti-clockwise yearly, but daily, this wheel is turning around once in 24 hours, okay? So that's why Saturn is now, went from here in 15 minutes, advanced 15 minutes along the ecliptic. And this was the very, very telling point, because Saturn is in Gemini, which is the twin towers. Saturn is Satan, and all of this sky is totally, totally set up and lending itself to a calamitous event. And they know this because the sun, when the sun is on the top of a T-square like that, see, this triangle is unhealthy. Red is unhealthy. Those are 90-degree squares. Now, 2 squares, one from Pluto and one from Saturn, that guarantees you that the sun will be afflicted that day, okay? The Savior, the risen Savior. And but whereas the grand trine here by Mercury, the messenger, with Saturn and Uranus, that's different. That's very harmonious, and that would bring positive results from a very devastating chart here. Very, very powerful chart. Mars, the instigator with the Moon. Now, this is the second plane crash. This is the first. So we still have Mars. You can see that Mars and the Moon were very instrumental on that day, because Mars is the action principle and the Moon is as well. So Mars has created an opposition to the house of travel. So he is the adversary. He is the lesser malefic, and he's in a very cadent house. Cadent houses are weak. And you'll see Mercury, also the Sun. There's a lot of cadence happening here. Cadent houses are the weak houses. The 9th house is also cadent, the 12th house. And so Mars is also a big player, okay? All right, so let's fix that up. Just so a lot of people wrote to me and noticed that I was speaking and concentrating on something else when I was punching in the date. And so I missed that. And but the only thing that was wrong was the Moon. The Moon was over here. And I said that both Saturn, which is in the 8th house, and the Moon had both advanced into the 8th house, but that's totally impossible. The Moon could never outrun Saturn going this way daily. In fact, she's going that way. So it's, you know, I was just confused with that, and I thought I'd clear that up. So let's get off there now and continue on. How was that then? You happy with that?
Thank you, Santos.
Yeah, I don't know whether you picked that up there, Karen, but I find that when I do my presentations, I often do that, and it's very disappointing when I play them back. I make so many mistakes, just through not going slow and thinking about the words, you know, and I'll say totally the wrong word, and it's awful.
Santos, we think you're amazing and you have masses to think about and do, so don't worry, and you're a gentleman because you've come back and changed it.
All right, well, thanks. I'll take that compliment. All right, so now what I've got is another thing that I have to clear up. Someone wrote to me and said, oh, how is it that you said that the Eskimos evolved certain traits? Because I was explaining how astrology works and how the Taurus field works. And I said that the Negroes are not the children of Israel, correcting someone who said that in a podcast. And I overheard that and I thought that's totally ridiculous. That I've heard other groups of black people suggesting that to and good historians, and they've got good reason to say that. Very good historians, like Ivan van Sertima, he's brought out things like that. But there are groups who are taking it too far. Both the white and the Negroes and all the other colours, they all come from the zodiac. Hang on, I've got to take a call. Hang on. Yeah, I'm on a call. A show? Oh, sorry. Oops. I'll turn my... Don't worry, I'll just turn my volume down. Oh, it's a biggie. It's a 3-hour one. Okay, because we do long ones. I just want it to be give ample room. So these researchers are doing good work, but they're still clouding the waters and confusing things. The children of Israel are humanity. Israel is the zodiac. It always has been. It always will be. It's the Mazzaroth. It's God's word. It's the ecliptic. It's the seasons. It's the year. It's the sun and the moon and all of their dance. And so the darker skinned people, or the Negroes, because apparently there's a big difference between the two, and there is, well, of course there is, but this particular researcher was highlighting the difference. They all come from the zodiac, okay? The darker peoples will be darkened by the power of Saturn. Saturn creates blackness. Yeah, Venus creates the Moorish people. That's how they say it. They say that we are Moorish by the power of Venus. That's why Islam is Isis, the lamb, Venus, Israel, same religion. It's all the zodiac. It's all the ecliptic. Anyway, the point being is that I used that reference and to correct what that researcher is saying, and all other researchers who say that the Negroes are the children of Israel. Yes, they are, but they're just one tribe. They're just one of all the children of Israel, which are Aries, Taurus, Gemini, etc. Okay, and how they got their dark skin is by where they lived along the ecliptic. Okay, now, just to show, because I was attacked, one person said, oh, you say some very tedious things that I just want people to rest assured that everything I say that I've ever said in my presentations, I get out of books. I'm not original. I can't do this by myself, So people come and attack me. Well, I don't necessarily always remember where I got it from and which book, but sometimes I do. Now, astrologers know, and this has told me, our true geocentric great teacher who has never been debunked, nor by Copernicus, nor by Newton, nor by Einstein. We are geocentric, and this is the model. And he explains how it is that certain plants even. When you take a certain plant that is native to a country and you take it to another hemisphere or to the east or to the west or another country, it changes. This is why, you know, cigars from Cuba are so prized. Well, what about the Dominican Republic? They have good cigars as well. What about the United States? They have good cigars, but because it's a certain thing, a certain quality in that soil that is all produced by the energies of the sun, magnifying all of the frequencies that are in the vault of the heaven, the firmament. And the sun is a transformer and a relayer of those energies. And all the planets are specializers of the white light of the sun. So the moon is the specialist in red and blood. And so Venus is the specialist of green and the sun. Okay, so, but they are, their influence is different in different parts of the world. That's why you could travel to another city in your own country and the atmosphere is totally different kind of air pressure, different kind of, well, smells, and just the whole energy is totally different. I remember my grandfather, he would visit from about 30 kilometers away when we were young. And he would say in his Calabrian Italian, "Oh, the air is different here." And I'm saying, "From where, Grandpa?" He'd say, "From where I come from, just like 30 k's away." And I thought, well, these old people are weird, but all my uncles would do that too. And you would remember these things, that the air is different, the atmosphere just 30 kilometers away. Yes, this is how nature works. And so I just want to read from Ptolemy to show how the astrologers understood the world and how things are different in different nations due to astrology. Thus, a variety in seed has the chief influence in supplying the peculiar quality of each species. For, under the same disposition of the ambient and of the horizon, each various kind of seed prevails in determining the distinct formation of its own proper species. Thus man is born, or a horse is foaled, and by the same law are brought forth all the other various creatures and productions of the earth. It is also to be remembered that considerable variations are caused in all creatures by the respective places where they may be brought forth. For although under the same disposition of the ambient, the germs of the future creatures may be of one species, whether human or of the horse, the difference in situation of the places in which they are generated produces a dissimilarity in the body and spirit of one from the body and spirit of the other. And in addition to this, it must be considered that different modes of nurture and the variety of ranks, manners, and customs contribute to render the course of life of one individual greatly different from that of another. Consequently, unless every one of these varieties be duly blended with the causes arising in the ambient, the prejudgment of any event will doubtless be very incomplete. For although the greatest multiplicity of power exists in the ambient, and although all other things act as concurrent causes in unison with it, and can never claim it as a concurrent cause in subservience to them, there will still nevertheless be a great deficiency in predictions attempted to be made by means of the heavenly motions alone, without regard to the other concurrent causes just now adverted to. So you see, What Ptolemy is showing is that the ambient or the atmosphere of these orbs is creating totally new and different dynamics along the plane of the Earth, the horizontal plane that we live on. And so that explains how it is that evolution happens. You see, certain races are adapting to the energies that are there. So the Eskimos are adapting with their diet and their manner and their morals and their behavior and customs and rituals, etc. Their fairy tales. Their fairy tales will vary and differ from everyone else's, but all of their fairy tales, all of their gospels, and everything comes from the ecliptic, just the same. It's just that where they are in latitude determines how they construct and how they modify their legends and gospels. So, so there you go. So what I will do now is continue with the ecliptic and show how the ecliptic is how you can know everything and quite simply and correctly. So we have the ecliptic, the great teacher, and that is... Yes?
I said, thank you, Santos. Thank you.
Yep. All right, so we have the ecliptic. We just saw that. That's the great teacher, the sine wave. We have a key. Now, this is from masonry, isn't it? The Royal Arch. This is the Royal Arch. This is all arcs. Arc, bark. See, once you do that, and you put the tropics in of every sine wave, and you do that, you've got an arc. Yeah, Noah's Ark, arch, bark, the bark of Noah, barca in Italian, ark. Okay, well that ark is here. You see the Big Dipper? The Big Dipper, Ursa Major, and Ursa Minor, they are here in the north, Tropic of Cancer, high up, you see. The Big Dipper, that's Ursa Major, the big bear. Well, this is called the bark of Ra. When you see that Big Dipper going round just like a swastika, and basically pointing to Polaris, you're seeing the bark of Ra. Yeah? The rainbow is called arco in Italian. Baleno, arco, arch in Spanish and Portuguese, arco iris. Iris is Osiris. Baal is the sun. Baal, the electrical sun, is Baal. Bel. Belios. The Greeks call him Helios, the healer. You see, that's his arch, that's his bark, and that's the royal ark, the bark of Noah. You see, because Noah, in his bark, he puts animals in twos, doesn't he? Yes, Gemini, two twins, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor, and Argos. Argos is there's three deacons in Cancer. You've got Argos, the bark. That's Noah's Ark. Ark. And then you've got, that's the first decan of Cancer, and then the second two deacons are Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. Well, here you've got the two twins, the two bears, and in Orion, you've got Canis Major and Canis Minor. No, wait a minute. They are, that's right, Canis Major and Canis Minor are in Gemini. Two deacons of Gemini, along with Lepus. Okay, so you've got the two dogs, the two bears, the two twins, Pollux and Castor, and you've got the boat. And this is the flood of Noah. Okay, this is also the Ark of the Covenant. The covenant, these are the two covenants. Okay, so the covenant of works, the covenant of rest. You work during the summer, so you get a harvest in Virgo. You rest during the summer because you're freezing and there's so much snow that you have to read books. It's the covenant of rest, the two equinoxes. Pay attention. So here we see the equinoxes and the solstices, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, Aries, Libra, Aries is always here. And then you've got the cross-quarter days. Those are the mid-season points. Here you've got May Day, August 1st, Loaf Mass Day. Sorry, I'm looking at the screen, so I'm going the opposite way. I'm getting confused. 1st of November, Halloween's. 1st of Feb, Groundhog's Day. These are the mid-season points. This is Taurus, the bull. This is Scorpio. That's Leo. This is Aquarius. I'm getting confused. There's Taurus, and opposite is Scorpio. The bottom signs are not shown because this is a cipher. It's for the Mason to build temples. Tempo, time, Chronos, Saturn, Satan. All temples are Saturnian, satanic, because Satan is the god of this world. Chronos, Saturn, the timekeeper, is the god of time. He's the god of this world. He's Krishna. He's Christ. I know that's going to confuse a lot of people and upset a lot of people, but you'll work it out. Chronos is Christ, Krishna, Cairo. Lots of words. Okay, I won't go down that path. 21st of March. Ooh. 23rd of September. Coming up, guys. Big one. Equinox. So this is the key. Okay. Well, if we don't have another key, the man is the measure of the universe. As above, so below. All is atum. That is atum with his anatomy. That's an Adamite. We are all Adamites. We're all children of Adam because we're made of atoms. Okay? All is atum. Now, so we learn, and this is where I learned how to construct the heavens. The Light of Egypt, Volume 1, The Science of the Soul and the Stars. I'm going to read to you how to construct the heavens. And what you do is you start here at Aries, March 21st. Equinox. 23rd. Equinox. The meridian. Everything that side is post-meridian. This is the MC, the meridian, the mid-heaven, and this is everything on that side, is anti. Anti-meridian, AM. This is how you read astrological charts. This is how you do everything. Everything is done like this. I will save you lives of incarnations and hours of research. If you remember these principles, I always stress these principles. Everything on this side is PM. So we're going to put a 24-hour clock now that we know that. AM, PM, summer, winter. So we have, let's get rid of the bark. And there's plenty of other twins along here. Plenty of other twins that Noah puts into his Argos, the bark of Ra. Because you see, when you look at Egyptian theology, you'll see a god called Nu. I'll pull that up in a minute. I've got it in the presentation. I'm not sure if that's the correct spelling, but it's Nu. And he's got a bark. He's standing there and he's holding up. This is Nu, Noah. And this is an Egyptian bark. And guess how many people he's got in that ark? It's always 8 because it's the 8-spoke wheel. That's Noah and his ark. There's the Ark of the Covenant. You see what they've got on the top? The Tropic of Cancer, the Royal Arch. It's the astrological science of degrees, minutes, and seconds along the ecliptic, because only astrology respects the science of the degrees, the minutes, and the seconds of every planet. Only astrologers know everything about the ecliptic. Hence, they are privy to all wisdom, all knowledge, and this is how you learn everything. So let's get rid of these barks, and we put June the 21st here, and December the 21st down here. Okay? So if we've got 6 a.m. here, 6 p.m. here, 12 p.m. 6 a.m., 12 a.m. here. So we've got 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, a.m. Well, we should start at 12 a.m. Let's do things properly now. Are you having fun?
Yep.
Yes, Santos.
I know you're having fun. You're a Geminian, and Geminis love to have fun.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Anti-meridian. Only astrology teaches you about this, folks. Only astrology has all the answers. This is why the Jesuits, when they created the globe, they turned all astrologers into deceivers and frauds, because they went heliocentric, and now they're talking about moon rocks with their bacon breath. Astrologers are vegetarian, number 1. Ooh, no bacon. Ooh. You cannot be an astrologer and a carcass cruncher at the same time. Astrologers are holy people. This is the holy science. And astrologers are geocentric. The earth is stationary and immovable according to scripture. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 p.m., 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have the year, spring, summer, autumn, winter. We have the day, the 24-hour Glocke. Glocke in German is bell. Bellios. We get clock from that. Glockenspiel. Yeah? This is the clock, the 24-hour clock, the 24 elders around the throne of God in Revelation. And you're going to see a lot more of this clock in the fairy tales, which we are going to be discussing today. Fairy tales, nursery rhymes, they all come from this. Gospels, all of them. This is Jesus on the circuit of Galilee with his 12 disciples. Apostles, these are 12 posts. That's why they are the apostles. Silent T is very telling. Apostles. Very clever English. So this is what Thomas H. Burgoyne has to say about this beautiful heaven. And he says, just describing how you put the 21st of September, the sun appears to enter the first degree of Libra, which completes the solar passage through the 6 northern signs, and there are, and the light, and the arc of light is over. See, the arc of light is over. Our chief, the following 6 signs, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Aquarius, and Pisces, constitute the southern arc, termed the arc of darkness. So you've got the arc of light and the arc of darkness. Our chief reason for drawing the student's attention to this particular division of the zodiac is that it is this division that forms the groundwork upon which is based every theological system the world has ever seen. Let me repeat that. After describing to set up your heavens, to be a good mason and build a good house, you have to have the foundation correct. And he said, this is the foundation. Master 21st, equinox, solstice, just as I've done. Then he said, 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, dark. So he put the day, daylight, night, summer, winter, and all the other dualities that have ever existed are here. And he said, after constructing your heavens like this, because he's now going to do his astrological part of the book. See, this is all the astrotheological and everything else. Now we're doing astrology, and he's saying, this is how you set up your heavens. Our chief reason for drawing the student's attention to this particular division of the zodiac is that it is this division that forms the groundwork upon which is based every theological system the world has ever seen. Well, let's test that, shall we? Because that's what I did many years ago. I thought, let's see how true that is. And so I found the evidence, didn't I? Well, how could that be the basis for every theological system? And not only that, all nursery rhymes, etc. Quite easily. See, the ancients were aware that everything in nature is God's force, the Holy Spirit. And God expresses that Spirit and asks us and teaches us and admonishes us to understand his ways and to follow the footsteps of his Son. The Son of Jehovah, who's always looking for the golden fleece in Aries. And he is the one who died for us and left us a model that we should all follow. You see? Because the Son is exemplary. Jason has his 12 voyages. And what is he looking for? Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sag, Cap, Aquarius, Pisces. He's looking for the golden fleece, Aries. All the great masters are. They all want to be in that number that the Lamb of God standing upon Mount Zion with 124,000. Well, if you count all the numbers of the petals of the chakras from the 6th chakra downward, you get 144 petals. 1,000, the 1,000-leafed lotus, when you multiply 144 by 1,000 and you've activated all your chakras, you are now standing upon Mount Zion. Your spinal column, in your cranium, this is your dome, and you have now activated all those petals. You are now standing upon Mount Zion with the Lamb of God, Aries, the Lamb of God. It's the Lamb of God. Okay, this is the Torah, the Taurus. This is where Moses got the Torah in May. Yeah, around May Day, because he climbed the mountain, Mount Sinai. This is Mount Sinai, and he got the Torah, Taurus. You see, the golden calves. When the Israelites went into Egypt, they were told not to tell the pharaohs that they were shepherds, that they were cowherds instead. But really, they were shepherds. But the Egyptians thought it was despicable to be a shepherd. Was the lowest of all of all the ways of living. The shepherd was the lowest considered, according to the Bible. Okay, so the point is, the Bible is not literal, it's literary, and it's talking about the differentiation between these two leading signs. Okay, so let's get down to the nuts and bolts then, shall we? So here we have the solstice here, down the bottom. Can you see this down the bottom?
Yeah. It's at the edge.
Okay. Okay. So down here we've got the shortest day of the year. And so the sun dies on the 21st of December, the solstice, St. Thomas's Day. The arrow of Sagittarius, the last day of Sagittarius being December 21, the solstice, quite appropriately, has the archer shooting at something. Well, he's shooting at the foot of Hercules. Hercules is right near Scorpio. Hercules is here. And he's shooting at the hero's foot, because the hero's foot is always here. This is where Jesus, the sun god, gets a nail. Okay? Then 3 days later, on the 25th of December, we've got a waxing sun. See, so all of this is positive. Waxing sun. So the goat, Capricorn, 25th of December, we have Christmas. Over here in the Lamb of Aries, we have Easter. Well, so we've got the goat, the ruler of the meridian, of the solstitial axis, and we've got the sheep. The sheep and the goats ruling the equinoctial axis. And Ptolemy teaches us that this is the ecclesiastical axis, Aries, Libra, spirituality. This is the king, the priest and the king. Here is political concerns. Money, Juno. Juno is the money temple in Rome. So Cancer is all about money, yeah? And politics, Capricorn. So this is the king and his money, and this is the priest and his justice, Libra. Okay? So, and this is balanced and this is unbalanced. Okay? So the sun is always separating the sheep from the goats. And always the two most celebrated periods along the ecliptic are Capricorn and Aries, Christmas and Easter. Over here as well, in the other tropical signs, there's plenty of action. It's just that we in the West, we don't see it. But guarantee you, and as you will see in my presentation, I'm going to show you PowerPoint presentation in a minute, you will see how these tropical signs determine 95% of all the festivities that you have ever celebrated. If you haven't paid attention, you will notice that they are all here. They are all in these signs. Here, the Jews have Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, where they blow the Zohar. Same over here, because this is Rama and this is Sukkot. Tishri. Tishri, this is called Nisan. This is Nisan. This is Tammuz. Thomas, opposite St. Thomas Day. All is Atum. That's the Tum, the T. That's why Thomas is there, because this is a T. The Jews call this Thomas, Tammuz. Yeah? This is Tishri, where they celebrate Sukkot. Sukkot or Sukkoth. Here, Nisan 14, we're going to learn a lot about there. We're going to learn a lot about here. All Bible festivities happen here. All of them. Jesus gets resurrected here. Noah's Ark lands on Mount Ararat here. The Israelites flee Egypt and enter the Promised Land here. Esther saves the Jews here in Aries. Hezekiah cleans out the temple here. Jericho falls here. Okay. just to name a few of the things that happen. So we've got Tishri, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, Atonement Day. Oh, that's interesting. At one mind day, and it happens to be to September the 23rd. How many times have you seen people in Hollywood kicking around with the number 23 on their shirts? Look into the number 23. Have a look at some of the videos getting around about the number 23. Because it's the 23rd of September. It's called this. Judgment Day. Wow. The equinox is called Judgment Day, 23rd of September. At one-ment day, at one mind. This is where unity happens at the equinoxes. Balance. 12 hours day, 12 hours night. Here the days are longer and the nights are shorter. Here the nights are longer and the days are shorter. So that's why when the sun at Christmas is born in Capricorn and the goat climbs up to the crabby crab, these days here are called Lent. Lent precedes the equinox of March the 21st by 40 days. Lent means to lengthen. Lengthen. Lent is short for lengthening because the sun is lengthening 40 days before, and then they eat fish during Lent, Pisces, and then as soon as they get in here, they eat the Passover lamb. And the Christians celebrate, the Jews celebrate the Passover into the land, and they into paradise. Aries, the head heaven heaved up. And so, what do they eat? The Christians and the Muslims. Do you know how many lambs they murder at Christmas time in Islam? Millions and millions and millions of sheep at Christmas. There have been many campaigns to stop this brutalization of animals because they take it literally. The spiritual truth is that we should be celebrating the Lamb of God in our bodies and loving the Lamb, God, Christ. Not killing animals literally and eating them. When Abraham slays the ram, he's not killing a literal ram. It's Abraham is the son. He's going through Aries. When Hercules kills the lion and Samson kills the lion, they're not killing a beast with their own hands. It's pointless. It's telling you the sun is slaying Leo when it goes through from July 23rd to August 23rd. The lion, Hercules is killing the lion. Here he's cleaning the stables. In Capricorn, the stable. See, so there is a preponderance here. The Jews have a fast to Tammuz. Remember in the Bible it says that they fasted to Tammuz. Well, that's in Cancer, because even the Islamists have Ramadan over here, where the sun is waning, and this is a big fasting month. Big celebrations, fasting, sadness, happy Christmas, happy Easter. Why? Because the goat is climbing up. Everybody's happy about the sun lengthening and then entering Aries, and Jesus is resurrected on Nisan 14, because as astrologers say, the sun exalts in Aries. So of course it gets resurrected in Aries, because now the days are longer. And it's a celebration. We're going to celebrate with lights and candles and hot cross buns and rabbits and Easter eggs. Easter eggs. Because why? Because this is the start of all the flowers, the blossom. See, sun dies here where Saturn sets. Sun sets, Saturn exalts in Libra, Sun exalts in Aries. Of course, Horus and Set are having a continual war. Saturn is the exalter of Libra, and the Sun is the exalter in Aries, because the Sun exalts. Harvest, Virgo. Saturn exalts. Hunting, killing. See? Virgo, full moon, harvest moon. Libra, full moon, hunter's moon. Cain and Abel. Cain, vegetables. His offering to God was first fruits of his vegetables. Abel, who Cain kills, Cain this equinox, kills this equinox. Abel, he gives a favorable offering to God of first fruits of the animals, because the animals are down here, Sagittarius, Capricorn, in the manger. You see? So Abel gives a favorable offering to God. Well, what does that mean? Well, the winter was more productive. Cain had a bad season. So God didn't appreciate the summer because there wasn't enough rain. So Cain's first fruits were not looked upon. And so Cain was jealous of his brother Abel, that his animals were more worthy of acceptance to God because the winter was more productive than the summer that year. And so Abel gets a pat on the back by God, but then Cain gets jealous and kills him. Bang, bang, the equinoxes. And so here we have nursery rhymes as well. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. Jack is Jacob, Israel, the sun. Jack jump over the candlesticks. See the sun, he is nimble, he is quick. And he jumps over those candlesticks. Yeah? Jacob laid his head upon a sacred stone. The sacrum is in Scorpio. And he climbed up the ladder and he went to heaven heaved up, and he saw God face to face. And he called that place, he said, I saw God face to face and I did not die. I will call this place Pinuel, the pineal gland. And so he climbed up that ladder, up from Scorpio, where the sacrum is. The sacrum is at the bottom of your, just above the coccyx. And so we have to go climb up Jacob's ladder to the place of Pinuel, where God is. And so what you have is the equinox, solstices, and you have the flags of nations. That's called what? It's called the Union Jack. Jack is Jacob. Bacchus, the god of wine, Jacob. Jacob is Israel. So this is Capricorn, this is Cancer, and this is Aries and Libra. So on the horizon, if you're watching the sun, you watch the sunset, you'll see it in summer, sunrise or sunset, doesn't matter, but it's the other way around. Sunset is the other way around to sunrise, okay? So let's put Capricorn here, Cancer here, and here is Aries and Libra in the middle. So this is Passover. Go up to the Tropic of Cancer. Solstice. Sun stays still for 3 days. Sorry, you couldn't see that before, could you?
I think it was all right, Santos.
Okay. So, this is what's happening every year if you are a sun watcher or a heliognostic, as we are. What you'll see is, this is March the 21st. Sun stands still for 3 days. On the horizon, you can watch this with your own eyes. I've watched it from day to day. The sun, you can see it moving across the horizon from summer to winter. From solstice to solstice. 47 degrees along the ecliptic. 23 and a half, 23 and a half. You see it. You can see it on the horizon. And this is what you're seeing. You see Easter, where the sun is in the east, because of course this is north and this is south. Cancer is north, Capricorn is south. Okay? So we've got 3 months of climbing up to Cancer, solstice. Sun stands still 3 days. 3 months back to Libra. And that's where the Jews celebrate Judgment Day, Atonement Day, at 1 minute. And Rosh Hashanah. Rosh means the head. Ra. It means the head of the year. Hoshana, Anna is annual. It's the Jewish Hebrew word for the year. Anno. Anna. Rosh Hoshana. The start of the year. Why do they have the start of the year here? Because that's the start of their secular year. This is the start of their sacred year. Nisan. Nisan and Tishri. And the Jews went out of Egypt from Ramah to Sukkoth. That's from Nisan to Tishri. It's all on here. As Thomas H. Burgoyne said, this is the basis for all theological sciences and systems of history. So the Union Jack, you see, this is the Union. This is the Union Jack, this line here. And you'll see this exactly the same at the Vatican. This is where the pyramid is at the Vatican, St. Peter's Square. Peter is who? Petra. Jupiter. Jupiter Zeus. Jesus.
Sorry.
Jesus. And Petra means rock. And rock is Sur, the Taurus field. In Deuteronomy 32 verse 4, it calls God the rock, the Tsur, the Thor. Who's Thor? Well, it's Zeus and Jupiter. Jupiter Zeus, Jesus. So at the Vatican, Here's the Vatican here. This is St. Peter's Square, and there's a colonnade around here and a colonnade around here. Beautiful big colonnade pillars. All right? Colonnade. And this road here, I walked down this road. I walked down here into St. Peter's Square, and I met some friends in Rome right here at this obelisk in 2013 when I went to do syncretism in Italy. Okay? Now, I walked down this road. There's a whole bunch of very powerful buildings on this road. Do you know what this road is called? The Union Jack. This is the equinox. They call this road La Via della Riconciliazione. The road, Via della Riconciliazione. This point here, these equinoxes happen here, okay? And this is called the road of reconciliation. Same word in English. What that means, to reconcile something is to make it one. So when you walk down this very famous road in Rome, Via della Riconciliazione, you're walking down the equinoctial, the energy of balance in Italy. So they have channeled this equinoctial, and when the sun is in Aries, see this is Capricorn south, this is Cancer north, and this is east. So when the sun goes up to Cancer, that's beautiful, okay? And that point, see, Capricorn climbs up, Aries climbs up, Cancer, he's going all the way down, and Libra is the judgment point, the balancing point, Via della Riconciliazione, reconcilement, at one-ment. And so, at the solstice, when the sun, in the morning, when the sun rises, it casts a shadow from the obelisk here. There's a statue right on the top of this colonnade here. There's a statue here on this colonnade. There's one here, one here, one here, and there's an obelisk in the middle, okay? So, in the midsummer, on the 21st of June, at the solstice, when the sun rises, a shadow is cast here. And at the sun setting, it is cast here and hits the top of this. The shadow is cast upon this statue in the evening at sunset, and in the morning at this one. Then, 3 months later, when the sun goes down to Libra to be judged at one-ment day and at the Via della Riconciliazione, the shadow is cast here in the morning. And there is something to receive the shadow here. Another statue. Then at night, the shadow is here at sunset. 3 months later, sunrise at the 21st of December, shadow is cast here. And it hits this point, statue. Then in the evening, at sunset, it is cast here. And it hits this statue here. This is the Union Jack, the union of Jacob, the son, the reuniting of the children of Israel at these points here. Okay, so this is how you understand all things Now, let me just share my screen. Are you with me, guys? I need someone feeding back to me, so I know you're still there and I haven't jumped off.
No, you're still there.
Oh, we're still here, Santos.
Oh, don't share it.
I do get lonely.
Oh, I know, but you don't like being interrupted either, do you?
Oh, well, the only reason is because I forget what I was going to say, and then when I rewatch the presentations, I see at all the interruption points, I was just about to drop a gem, and it doesn't get said, and it just doesn't make the whole presentation complete. I've never done any show or presentation where I've satisfied that I've actually elaborated enough on any of the points. I'm always dissatisfied, but those points where people interrupt, it hurts the presentation sometimes. You know what I mean?
Sharing.
Yeah, Santos, he was sharing the hangout. It's all right, he's not now. Santos,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Can I just say that Wilson's here as well now? I don't know if you remember Wilson from before. Wilson's from Canada. So he's in the hangout.
Yep.
Well,
All right, guys, what I'm going to do then is I'm just going to share my screen. Now, can you see my screen?
yep.
Yeah.
All right, so what I've got here is I've got a presentation called the Holy Days. This is the Holy Days, okay? I'm gonna go through this really quickly, and then I'm just gonna spend some time on certain holidays like I've done Christmas and Easter, okay? Just to drill the point home, because once you see the ecliptic and how it influences every field of our lives, all the festivals, all of our traditions, all of them, then you begin to understand all things simply and correctly. Okay, the holy days, why are they named thusly? Well, because they are, holy is, see the O-L-Y in holy? That's the start of Olympia, the Mount Olympia, yeah? Because they are the Mount Olympians, they are the holy ones. The 7 Olympians are Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon. And they war against the Titans, the 12 Titans, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. All right? And this is the wheel that they do it with. There is the ecliptic. You can see the ecliptic.
Yeah.
Let me just make this bigger, because if I expand it, it will stop screen sharing. But if I do this, it'll work. Here is the ecliptic on the flat Earth. Okay, here we have the different projection. No matter, we know the Earth is stationary and horizontal. Period. We're working with a sine wave here. You see the balance point in the middle? That's Libra balancing everything. Okay, there it is, and there is the wheel. Now notice the preponderance of festivities here in Easter at the vernal equinox. Here is Taurus, May Day. Here is the solstice. Here is the festivities of Lothmas Day in Leo. Here is also, I've actually got a lot more, when I did this wheel here, I didn't feel out all the festivities that I've got here in September in Tishri. But this is packed as well. Here, this is Halloween, the cross-quarter day. Here we're going to go to Christmas, the winter solstice. And here we see a lot of February Lent-type festivities, okay? Now, I'm not going to be doing this presentation because I've already done it. I'm going to do this separately because it needs its own separate presentation. I'm just going to take bits out of it, and I'm just going to give you snippets of it to show you what is in here, okay? See? Everybody starts for the vernal equinox. Everything starts here. The sine wave begins. The Taurus energy begins. A new year is begun. The year is shortened from the Proto-Germanic word Yaram, J-A-R-A-M, turned into Y-E-A-R-A-M, and then the A-M was chopped off and we're left with the word year. But the year is Yaram, Jehovah the Ram, which is exactly what he's called in the 21st Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd. There he is called Jehovah Ra, and that means Jehovah the shepherd, the ram, the Yah ram. Everything begins here. Hot cross buns, that denotes the crossing of the sun. All of these festivals, I'm going to go slowly. You can pause. All the colors of spring. Why? The blossoms. This is spring. This is Aries. Look at the Jews. Look what they do in Japan. Sakura. That's another way of saying cerealia. And they celebrate drinking and eating biscuits under the cherry blossom trees in Japan. Okay? This is all here. I'm going to leave this. I'm going to just go slowly through these so the people watching can pause and they will get the sense of the festivity along the ecliptic. See, Ramadan, Tammuz. This is where all the fasting part of the year happens because the sun now is waning. Okay, the intelligent ones with eyes to see, they will read these and they will work it out. All festivities are on the ecliptic. All their meanings come from the ecliptic. What you are getting here is a priceless gem. This will teach you the ecliptic and all its festivities. You will learn secrets in this presentation. You will never, ever, ever get anywhere else. Anywhere. Anywhere.
They can't afford it.
Exactly, brother. Tell me your thoughts there, Ceres. Talk, brother.
Well,
Or anyone for that matter.
So far, I figured it has to do everything with the whole electromagnetic field, where we actually are individually centers of receiving the particular focus point of what your perceptive position actually gives, on how you actually turn the wheel, and how all the influences are from above.
All of them.
Yeah, just like our body is, the emotional energy is just pure energy, and that's all where it's going through. I'm still
It is, brother.
how to actually work out the 4 pillars in combination with the toroidal fields. It seems there is this particular division of the 4 squares building up, what is it, 8 quarters or 8 cubes in that sense.
All right. I've just come to the end of that. All right. Now, what I'll do is I'll go back to the start, and we just want to discuss one thing from this presentation. And this coincidence will astound you. Now, what I'm going to do, so I don't interrupt the reading, I'm going to ask for a reader, please. Someone put their hand up for reading, a good reader.
A good reader.
Ceres, Aaron, Patricia.
If it's not too fast.
No. I'm going to stop on one presentation, one slide.
This one is fine to see. Noah's Ark. Safely.
All right. What we want. Can someone read this, please?
I can read.
Okay. Before you start, you'll notice the top says other events occurring on the day of first fruits. Now, the day of first fruits is Nisan 17. I had Nisan 14 on the board. Well, they're both connected. The reason being is this is a lunisolar calendar, and Nisan 17 represents the day when 3 days after the equinox. That's what it represents, guys. Okay, so Nisan 14 is the equinox, March 21st. Nisan 17 represents March the 24th, which is my birthday. okay, Nisan 17, my birthday, 3 days after the equinox. And look at all the things that happened in the Bible on my birthday, March the 21st, 24th. I should know my own birthday. Nisan 17. Now, please read these slowly, and these are all the things that happen on the same day on the ecliptic. When you realize that this is not history, and this is the ecliptic unfurling before your eyes, then you will know how to understand everything simply and correctly. So thank you. So if you could read from the start all the way to the bottom, nice and slowly.
All right. Other events occurring on the day of first fruits. Nisan 17. Noah's Ark safely rested on Mount Ararat. Genesis 8:4. Nisan 17. Hebrews entered Egypt. Exodus 12:40-41. 430 years before deliverance. Nisan 17. Moses led the Israelites through the parting of the Red Sea. Exodus 3:18 and 5:3. Nisan 17. Day of first fruits. Israel entered and ate the fruits of the promised land. Joshua 5:10-12. Nisan 17. The walls of Jericho. Joshua 5:13. Nisan 17. The cleansing of the temple of Hezekiah. 800 years after entering the promised land. Chronicles 29:1-28. Nisan 17. Queen Esther saved Hebrews from elimination. Esther 3:12-5:1. Nisan 17. The resurrection of the Messiah. The odds of just two of these events all happening on the same day of the Hebrew year, 360 days, are 1 in 129,000. The odds of these events all happening on the same day of the Hebrew year are 1 in 783 quadrillion, 864 trillion, 876 billion, 960 million. Very, very, very unlikely.
Thank you, brother. Okay.
Thank you, Aaron.
Wonderful. All right. So this is astounding, and this is what I actually got this off the internet. I saw a video where a churchgoer was explaining how wonderful God is, that he can make all these things happen on the one day. Yeah, all the most important things in the Old Testament, all of them happen on one day. And it's the best day of the year. Why? Well, because in spring, the sun is not only on the AM side, which is waxing and happy, but it's also on the summer side. So that spring quadrant is plus plus.
Yeah.
And therefore, where plus plus is the golden age. Spring. Spring is the golden age.
Yeah.
It's the morning of every day is the golden age. The afternoon is the silver. The evening is the bronze, and the night is the winter. Iron Age. And so there's only positive in that quadrant on the left, on the top left. And therefore, as soon as the sun passes over, the children of Israel are in the promised land, because the promised land has more light than it has darkness. Okay? This is why they celebrate the Passover of the Lamb. And the Christians 40 days prior were celebrating Lent, the lengthening of the rays of the sun, hence changing his astrological influences by degree, by day, by minute, by second on that ark, Noah's Ark. And so here you've got Noah's Ark lands on Mount Ararat. Well, you'll see two Ra's in Ararat. Ra, because it's the cerebrum, the ram, right ascension of meridian Aries, where it begins. That's why Noah always lands his ark at the beginning, because that's where he starts his arc of directions. The Hebrews entered Egypt. Yes, because that was Egypt in the positive sense. Egypt starts at Aries, but Egypt also starts at Libra, because Egypt is the world, materialism, temptation, But Egypt is also the promised land because Jesus went to Egypt. Joseph went to Egypt. Abraham went to Egypt. Moses was come out of Egypt. You see? So this is all talking about the equinox, people. Moses led the Israelites through the parting of the Red Sea. Yes, the Red Sea is parted there in Aries. You go from Pisces into Aries. It's a parting. It's the partition. It's the Red Sea. The Red Sea is everything below the equator, the line of the earth, and the blue sea is above. Redshift is below. So when you come out of the Red Sea, you're coming out of everything below the equinoxes. You're coming up to the top parts, paradise of the equinox, of the ecliptic. Here we have the day of first fruits. Yes, of course, because the sun is first in his fruits in Aries. So of course they celebrate first fruits on that day. The walls of Jericho, they blow their horns. Well, the horn is the horn of Aries. And you blow the Zohar in Aries because it's a new year, Rosh Hashanah. And so Jericho, the old ecliptic, falls down. And a new Jericho is built, a new ecliptic. Hezekiah cleans the temple on Nisan 17. Well, that's the temple. The temple is the new year. Why do you have a spring clean? Because that's when Hezekiah does his spring cleaning of the temple. The temple is the temple of Hiram Abith, the Hiram above, Aries, the builder of Solomono's temple. Temple being chronos, time. So when you clean the temple, you have a spring clean in Aries, Nisan 17, Aries. Easter or Esther, she saves the Hebrews from elimination with Mordecai. Well, Esther and Mordecai are none other than Astarte and Marduk of the Babylonians, because that's where they were in Persia, who worshipped Astarte, the eastern star, and Marduk, Mars, Venus and Mars. So, of course, there's no literal Easter in the Bible, people. Esther was not a literal human being. It's the East. It's Aries, Nisan. Nisan means Aries. And if you look at the Nisan Japanese Motor Company, look at their symbol. It's the same as the sun crossing the equinox. It's a ball or disc crossing a line. Nisan means, and Mazda is the Persian word for Aries. The other Japanese car company, they both have astrological symbols. Yes, because it's the equinox, it's the sacred moment. You see, the resurrection of the Messiah. Well, when I was a Jehovah's Witness, we always used to celebrate Easter on Nisan 14. In fact, the early Christians were called 14thers. They were nicknamed 14thers because every year on the 14th of Nisan, the equinox, or rather the first full moon after the sun passing the equinox, they celebrate Nisan. See, because it's a movable calendar, the lunar calendar. Okay, so the odds of this happening, just two of these events happening, are 1 in 129,000, guys. So for all of these researchers that are half-cocked and half-witted, poncing around, pontificating about, oh, the Bible condemns astrology and it's literal and everything's literal in it. This is how literal it gets, people. Okay? It's all dealing with the ecliptic. Now, let me unshare. Let me unshare and continue on in my proofs that everything is on the ecliptic. Nisan Motor Company. Why is their symbol and Mazda? Why is their symbol the sun crossing the equinox? Because everything is here. This is the sun. Do you think they're going to have some doofus symbol to be successful in their motor company, they're going to put, a banana, or a lemon. Do you think they'll have a lemon or something, or some sort of a doofus symbol? No, of course they're going to have the sun. The sun is invincible. No one can conquer the sun. The moon comes in conjunction with the sun. Goodbye moon for 3 days. She's in the tomb. She's the womb, and she's in the tomb because at the new moon, when she's within 15 degrees of the sun's rays, bam, she's under the beams. Only astrology tells you where the moon goes for 3 days. And here we are going, oh, that moon rock's up there with the sun in conjunction. Can't see it. The moon rock. Astrologers are talking about moon rocks. What's your moon sign? Moon sign? Yeah, the rock in the sky. It's a rock. The astronauts went up there to play golf in 1969 and they brought back a stone. It's a rock. Whereas astrology, our true masters, told me, said they are entirely luminous. Entirely luminous. Even Wikipedia tells you that Saturn is entirely luminous. It's a gas giant. Jupiter's a gas giant. It's entirely luminous. The sun's all hydrogen, so it's luminous. And yet they want their moon rocks. See, this is all about all of our stories. Jack and the Beanstalk. What's the beanstalk? Your spinal column. And as you go up and up and up, you see the land of giants and you get golden eggs. That's the gold of Aries. The sun exalts in Aries. That's what Jason's looking for, Jehovah's Son. Jehovah's Son's always looking for the golden fleece in his 12 journeys. Jack and Jill. Jack is the sun, Jill is the moon. Jack and Jill climbed up the hill to fetch a pail of water, Cancer. Jack fell down and broke his crown. That's an interesting word. Why is a little boy, Jack, and a little girl, Jill, who were just going up the hill to fetch a pail of water, what's he doing with a crown? And why does Jill in Cancer and Jack in Leo, they live on top of the hill. Okay, this is the hill. They own the northern, these are called the governing signs. These are called the obeying signs, the day signs, the night signs. Jack and Jill, they always climb up the hill to fetch a pail of water. But Jack will always fall down and break his crown, where Achilles gets it in the heel and Jesus gets a nail in the foot on the 21st of December, a la Sagittarius. And Jill will always come tumbling after, because they're always going around like the hare and the tortoise. One is fast. The hare, who is the hare? That's Horus, guys. Fast. And what's the hair on your head? Why is it called hair? Because it's short for Horus, the sun. Because when you have a golden mane hair, it looks like Horus, the sun, who has hair. Samson gets his hair cut. He was betrayed by Delilah, Virgo, the evening, 4, 5, 6 o'clock every day. So Samson, the little son, because that's what Samson means, Shimshem, the little son, he gets betrayed by Delilah. And he's got to go down. The Philistines cut his hair. And then he gets blinded. The son is blind. And then he says, Father, give me, for I am blind and I cannot see. Put one arm on a pillar of this temple and my left arm on another pillar of the temple. And let me bring down the whole temple. Well, that's what Samson is bringing here. The sun is always creating a new cycle in the acceptable year of the Lord. And then he is being betrayed by Judas Iscariot. Here, Scorpio and Halloween and all of that, that's where the sun gets betrayed. It gets betrayed in Libra, then it gets betrayed in Scorpio, then it gets a nail in the foot. Sagittarius is the last straw. But it's all betrayal here. It's all autumn, the tomb. Inverno, winter. Inferno, hell. Hell is cold. See, you go down to Tommy in hell. Have you ever heard that? I'll send you to Oh, he's going down to Tommy and hell. Well, hell is down here, and St. Thomas's Day is right down at the bottom, at the tomb, you see? What else can we find? Whoa. Well, let's have a look at some nursery rhymes and see how they all play into the ecliptic, shall we? That'll be interesting. They all mean the same things. That is, nursery rhymes. Fairy tales, their origin and meaning. John Thackeray Bunce. Okay, this was written in the 18th century. Talking about fairy tales. They all mean the same things. That is, the relation between the sun and the earth, and succession of night and day, of winter and summer, of storm and calm, of cloud and tempest, and golden sunshine and bright blue sky. And this is the source from which we get our fairy stories. For underneath all of them, there are the same fanciful meanings, only changed and altered in the way of putting them. By the lapse of ages of time, by the circumstances of different countries, and by the fancy of those who kept the wonderful tales alive without knowing what they meant. Well, let's see what they mean, shall we? Let's get every fairy tale you know. I'm going to discuss 5 or 10 from these books, and if you've got your favourite fairy tale, I'll explain it for you, courtesy of the ecliptic. Cinderella. Let me sit down. The story of Cinderella helps us to find out the meaning of our fairy tales and takes us back straight to the far-off land where fairy legends began and to the people who made them. Cinderella and Rhodope and the Hindu Raja's daughter and the like are but different forms of the same ancient myth. It is the story of the sun and the dawn. Cinderella, grey and dark and dull, is neglected. When she is away from the sun, obscured by the envious clouds, her sisters, and by her stepmother, the night. So she is Aurora, the dawn, and the fairy prince is the morning sun, ever pursuing her to claim her for his bride. Well, you see, Cinderella is actually the sun. This is the point. The prince is the moon. And they've got it the other way around here. But Cinders is the burning sun. And Prince is the princess. Only the moon is the princess. And so it's the other way around, but it doesn't matter. They're interchangeable. The archetypes are interchangeable. The enemies of the clouds. The dawn. See the dawn? Cinderella is the dawn, the new morning, always beautiful. And the clouds are the stepsisters who try to stop Cinderella, the cinders of the sun. And the stepmother is the night. And the same with the winter. The winter is the enemy of the sun, etc., etc. And so what you have here is the same story being told, that the dawn, see the word dawn? Let's just take the silent W out of there, shall we? Dan. Adan. Adam. Adam is Mars, the ruler of Aries. The sun is the exalter of Aries. Mars is the ruler. Both boys, both firing up in the morning and stirring up Cinderella. Okay, let's have a look, see what else we got in this book. Orpheus and Eurydice, Eros and Psyche, Jason and the Golden Fleece, of the labours of Hercules, of Sigurd and Brynhild, of Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. There too, in forms which can be traced with ease, we have the stories of fairyland, the germs of the 1001 tales of the Arabian Nights, the narratives of giants and dwarfs and enchanters, of men and maidens transformed by magic arts into beasts and birds, of riches hidden in caves and bowels of the earth, and guarded by trolls and gnomes, of blessed lands where all is bright and sunny, and there are neither work nor care. Whatever indeed is strange or fanciful, or takes us straight from our grey, hard-working world into the sweet and peaceful country of once upon a time, etc. Let me move on. What else have we got? Okay, Jason. The story of Jason. How it springs from the changes of day and night, and how the hero in his good ship Argo. It's interesting, isn't it? Jason has a ship called Argo. Argos. Argo. It's all on the ecliptic, guys. Jesus is here, Moses is here, Abraham, Jehovah, Christ, Krishna, Buddha, Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men could not put Humpty together again. It's the year. Once you destroy the year, that's why the 1st of January is called Circumcision Day, according to the Jews. Why is that? You'll see that in the presentation, the holy days. If you flick back to it, you'll see the 1st of January is Circumcision Day. Well, why? Because after the son is born, 25th of December, you wait 8 days, then you circumcise the year and you start a new year. Son is born on the 25th of December. In Jewish tradition, you wait 8 days and then you snip off his bits. That's the year. That's why January 1st is the day of circumcision. Exactly 8 days after the son is born. It's all on the ecliptic. All on the ecliptic. Everything. There's nothing literal. It all comes from this. This is the first truth. All other truths are second. This is the principle. All others are attributes of the principle. Everything is here. It's all energy. God is energy, conscious energy. Searches for and bears away in triumph the golden fleece, the beams of the radiant sun. Or we might fly with Perseus on his weary, endless journeys. Perseus. Oh, well, who's Perseus? Oh, well, that's a deacon of Aries. Perseus, Cassiopeia, the big M in the sky at the Arctic Circle, Cassiopeia, that M, that's Mary. Perseus, Jesus, the Christ, and Cassiopeia. And Cetus. Those are the 3 deacons of Aries. Perseus, what's he doing? He's holding up Medusa's head. That's every morning Perseus slays the starlit night, Medusa's head. Or we might fly with Perseus on his weary, endless journey, the night pursuing and scattering the darkness, the glittering hero, borne by the mystic sandals of Hermes, hearing the sound of the sunlight, piercing the twilight, or gloaming in the land of mystic grey, slaying Medusa, the solemn starlit night, destroying the dark dragon and setting free Andromeda. Andromeda is here in Pisces. He frees her. Perseus frees her. Yeah, because Andromeda is the end of the year. Perseus is the start of the year. There's always a Christ. Hercules is here. That's a Christ. Orion is here. That's Osiris. That's a Christ. This is the cerebellum. This is the optic thalamus. Orion. The pineal gland. That's the Pleiades in Aries. Optic thalamus, Taurus. Pineal gland, Aries. That's where heaven is. Heaved up. Head. Heel is hell. Or Hermes, we might trace out the master thief of Teutonic and Scandinavian and Hindu legends. Or in Hercules, the type of the heroes who are godlike in their strength, yet who do the bidding of others, and who suffer toil and wrong, and die glorious deaths, and leave great names for men to wonder at, heroes such as Odysseus, Theseus, Phoebus, Achilles, Sigurd, and Arthur, and all of whom represent, in one form or another, the great mystery of nature and the conflict of light and darkness. And so, if we look to their deeper meaning, the constant triumph of good over evil and of right over wrong, right over wrong, etc. Having fun yet? How are we going, Karen? All right, let's have a look at Myths and Myth Makers, John Fiske. Sleeping Beauty. The Earth Goddess winks. Excuse me. Sorry about that. That's not winks. I need my glasses. The myth of Sleeping Beauty. The Earth Goddess sinks into her long winter sleep when pricked by the point of the spindle. In her cosmic palace, all is locked in icy repose, naught thriving save the ivy which defies the cold, until the kiss of the golden-haired sun god reawakens life and activity. The wintry sleep of nature is symbolized in innumerable stories of spellbound maidens and fair-featured youths, saints, martyrs, and heroes. Sometimes it is the sun, sometimes the earth that is supposed to slumber. Odysseus, stripped of his beggar's raiment and endowed with fresh youth and beauty by the dawn goddess, Athene, engages in no doubtful conflict as he raises the bow, which none but himself can bend. Nor is there less virtue in the spear of Achilles, in the sword of Perseus and Sigurd, in Roland's stout blade, Durendal, or in the brand Excalibur, with which Sir Bedivere was so loath to part. All these are solar weapons, and so too are the arrows of Tel and Palnatoki, Egil, and Hemingre, and William of Clonsdaleise, whose surname proclaims him an inhabitant of the Pacian land. William Tell, whether of Cloudland or of Altdorf, is the last reflection of the beneficent divinity of daytime and summer, constrained for a while to obey the caprice of the powers of cold and darkness, as Apollo served Laomedon, and Heracles did the bidding of Eurystheus. But the sun, though ever victorious in open contest with his enemies, is nevertheless not invulnerable. At times he succumbs to treachery, is bound by the frost giants, or slain by the demons of darkness. Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood. Who is red when it sets? The sun. Who is the wolf? The wolf is a deacon of Libra, Lupus. This is the dark point. The wolf of night is always ready. You see, Little Red Riding Hood, Grandma says, Mama says, don't you go stopping in the forest. The sun never goes retrograde. It's always direct. Little Red Riding Hood, she goes straight through the forest. She doesn't talk to anyone. And unless she comes in a conjunction with a planet, sun and moon, new moon, sun and Jupiter, those are conjunctions. The sun stops and has a chat in a symbolic sense. But figuratively, Mama says, don't you talk to no wolves. Don't you talk to no strangers, because she knew that there's a wolf in the forest on the ecliptic, and it's always there. And the hunter, Orion, he's always going to kill, he's always ready. Perseus, Orion, Auriga. Auriga is here too. Auriga's another hero. The charioteer, he's in Orion. Perseus is in Aries. They are always ready to save Little Red Riding Hood. So the wolf gets his stomach opened, and Little Red Riding Hood gets to go through the forest once more. Tom Thumb, Little Red Riding Hood. I just can't stop and do all these. The preponderance of solar legends in most systems of mythology is not due to a lack. No, I don't want to read that. There was a better one here somewhere. Some good quotes. Oh, here's a beauty. Song of Sixpence. Obviously, the 24 blackbirds are the 24 hours. And the pie that holds them is the underlying earth covered with the overarching sky. Huh. Must have been a flat earther. How true a touch of nature it is that when the pie is opened, that is, when day breaks, that's the pie, that's the 24 pie. Sorry, the 24 blackbirds of the pie. When day breaks, the birds begin to sing. The king is the sun, and he's counting out the money, is pouring out the sunshine, the golden shower of Danae, all is a done. The queen is the moon, and her transparent honey, the moonlight, honeymoon. The maid is the rosy-fingered, Rosie's red. The maid is red. Red shift, blue shift. The maid is the rosy-fingered dawn, all is a dawn, who rises before the sun, her master, and hangs out the clouds, his clothes across the sky. The particular blackbird, who so tragically ends the tale by snipping off her nose, is the hour of sunrise. In all this interpretation, there is no a priori improbability, save perhaps in its unbroken symmetry and completeness, that some points at least of the story are thus derived from antique interpretations of physical events, is in harmony with all that we know concerning nursery rhymes. In short, the time-honoured rhyme really wants but one thing to prove it a sun myth. that one thing being a proof by some argument more valid than analogy. The character of the argument which is lacking may be illustrated by a reference to a rhyme about Jack and Jill. Anyway, then he goes on to Jack and Jill. I've done that. The mere fact that solar heroes all over the world travel in a certain path and slay imps of darkness is of great value as throwing light upon primeval habits of thought. Anyway, oh man, look, it's just endless. The predominance of solar legends in most systems of mythology is not due to a lack of that titanic assurance which we say the sun must rise, nor again to the fact that phenomena of day and night are the most striking phenomena in nature. Eclipses, earthquakes, floods, and phenomena of the most terrible and astounding kind, as they have all generated myths. Yet their contributions to folklore are scanty compared with those furnished by the strife between the day god and his enemies. The sun myths have been so prolific because the dramatic types to which they have been given rise are of surpassing human interest. The dragon who swallows the sun is no doubt a fearful personage, but the hero who toils for others, who slays hydra-headed monsters and dries the tears of fair-headed damsels and achieves success in spite of incredible obstacles, is a being with whom we can all sympathize and of whom we never weary of hearing. Yeah, I never weary of reading the Gospels, the great poems, because it's a story about you. The hero, ultimately, Horace, is you. Alrighty, I think I've about presented everything I wanted to present. I think we could do some questions then, guys.
So far, not really related. Do you have any take on the RH negative blood?
Well, that's really, really off topic. Could we keep it to the topic, please? But, well, again, this is...
Santos, there were questions that came in as you were going through the presentation.
I realise there's going to be lots of questions because I touched on so many different subjects. The negative blood, this is obviously we see a preponderance of controllers, families that control humanity have this RH and negative, and so I don't see it as majorly different, but just that it may have been modified. That's what Ammonstop Productions are suggesting. Grace from the Power, I think her name is actually Grace Power, but anyway, that Monkey Blood documentary was very, very enlightened. I'd go on YouTube and check that out, Monkey Blood by Ammonstop Productions. You'll get a lot more about it from them. I think they did a good job on that. Alrighty, so.
There's another question, Santos, from Time in the chat room. Where does New Jerusalem fit into that chart?
New Jerusalem.
Well, Jerusalem is a heavenly city. Okay? There is, the New Jerusalem is the Jerusalem above. It's a spiritual city. And it's made up of the 144,000, the chosen ones. So this is all symbolic. And it's talking about the fourth dimensional, most probably fourth dimensional and fifth dimensional aspects of our universe. And what's going to happen is the New Jerusalem above, a higher dimensional Jerusalem, is going to its center of orbit, which is perihelion, is going to match with our timeline. In other words, it's going to come down. New Jerusalem, the new way of doing things, is going to return. It's basically just the real construct of this universe and how it's supposed to vibrate in the golden age. There's 4 different vibrations. There's the golden age vibration, silver age, bronze, and iron. We basically are still at the residuals of the Iron Age. So there's still a lot of suffering lingering on. There's still a lot of the old draconian elite families with their globalism agenda going, but they are being defeated by New Jerusalem, or by Christ returning. This is how Christ returns. Christ means to be enlightened. Enlightenment is this. It doesn't happen any other way. When the Apostle Paul said, "You babes, Corinthians, I cannot speak to you the deep things of Christ because you are babes and requiring milk," the milk of the word. That's because they could never understand the literary Jesus. They wanted a literal model, like a little child wants training wheels on his push bike. He doesn't want to just learn without the training wheels. And some people are like that. They need their little training wheel models, which is the literal model. And they think that that is the only true part of the Bible, which is limiting and reducing. Because the letter of the word destroys, but the Spirit giveth forth life. And let me just share something else with you. Here is a quote by Jean-Dominique Crossan, historian, speaking about the stories in the Bible. He said, "My point, once again, is not that those ancient people told literal stories and we are now smart enough to take them symbolically, but that they told them symbolically and we are now dumb enough to take them literally."
180 degrees around here, of course.
Yes, because the literalists, they are so smart. They think, oh, you see, God, the Bible has got all these literal stories in it, but we can interpret them symbolically because we're smart. No, they wrote symbolical, and you're dumb enough to interpret them literally because you have been duped by the power of the Scriptures. Because the Scriptures is there to divide spirit from soul. It's to divide the sheep from the goats. It is to put literal poison out there so that the mundane and those of a mundane intelligence do not grasp the spiritual, and it divides the sheep from the goats. It separates them straight down the middle. The literalists cannot be transcendental. They are mundane. Here is how it is described in Jaiva Dharma, a very important Hare Krishna Vedic book. And this is how he describes the same situation, because in their doctrine, Krishna also reincarnates. He reincarnated 5,000 years ago. And he had his little pastimes. He was a little boy and he was playing with his boyfriends and girlfriends and he was churning the butter and everything. That's not literal. Take it from the horse's mouth. Let's have a read. Sri Krishna, which is the Lord Christ, takes birth, performs activities, and gives up his body. So how can his form be eternal? So in one breath we say, oh, Jesus Christ is eternal, but he died. But he's eternal. But he did die. He was crucified. But he's eternal. But he died. They killed him. Well, because it's not historical. This is where the son dies and is resurrected. This is where the son dies and is resurrected. This is where the sun dies at Judgment Day and is resurrected in Libra. That's where the sun dies in Cancer and is resurrected in the Feast of St. Thomas, 3rd of June, July. There's 4 crucifixions. Literary. So Lahiri Masahaya asked, Sri Krishna's form is Satchitananda, ever existing, full of knowledge, and completely blissful, Babaji replied. His birth, activities, and giving up of the body have no connection with mundane matter. When they have, then why have they such descriptions been given in Mahabharata and other scriptures? Babaji answered, the eternal truth defies description, for it is beyond words. The pure soul, in his spiritual aspect, sees the transcendental form and pastimes of Sri Krishna. When he describes that supreme reality through words, it appears just like worldly, mundane history. Those who are capable of extracting the essence from scriptures, like the Mahabharata, experience Krishna's pastimes in a specific way. However, when people of mundane intelligence hear these descriptions, they interpret them in different ways. Well, see, these literalists may suggest that these are my opinions. They're not. They say, oh yes, but we've got the Jesus, literal Jesus. Santos is a mystic. He's weird. He's made up all this. He went and got it from under a rock, and he's proclaiming it everywhere, trying to deceive people with his truth, his opinions. I'm not responsible for any of that, guys. I did not originate any of that. That's not my wheel. That's not my tsuru. That's not my Mazarov. That's God's. That's all God's. I'm just noticing how we did it. That's all. I'm just showing you, look, this is how we did it. That's all I do. Okay. I'm a proper little pontificator, aren't I?
Santos, I've got a few more questions for you here.
Okay.
Sleeping Rock Dragon asks, what type of calendar should one be using?
Suni, what kind of calendar?
Yeah, what type of calendar?
Well, it should be the original calendar, which is the lunisolar calendar. Okay, so we should be dancing the sun and the moon together like this. This is the calendar we have. This is the true calendar that I just showed you, guys. It's the astrological calendar, but it should be lunisolar. So, what we have, equator, Tropic of Cancer, Tropic of Capricorn, in the book of Enoch, it says that the sun has six gates. One is there's your cross. By the way, that circle with a cross in it, that's the symbol of the earth in astrology. Earth, sun, those are the symbols. Moon, Jupiter, etc. See that? Isis, Ra, the radius, and El, the circle. Israel. This is 1. This is 7. Ra has 7 rays, and this is 12. And the 1 is a trinity, which makes 22. Okay? That's the sun. And this is what the Jews teach. This is how you teach simply. Spirit is this. Soul is this, and body is this. Radius. Ra, God, and his circ L. So Enoch says that there are 6 portals. One is at the Tropic of Capricorn, just above it. Can you see that? Please tell me you can see that circle.
Yep, we can.
Okay.
Portals or gates?
Gates.
Yeah. Portals seem so fictional in that sense, out of the fiction part, that people think that there is some kind of magical portal from somewhere to somewhere. Kind of the Pac-Man idea of how that then works. Yeah, it's gates, not portals.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
Yeah. In Portuguese and Spanish, a gate is portão, porta. So porta in Italian, door, portal. A gate, sometimes they call it a door. It's weird, but gates and portals are actually one and the same word. So porta, like a port, where you bring ships in, it's a doorway. It's a porta, a portal. Okay, so, but it's still a gate, because what do they have? They have gates there. So, but the proper word in English is definitely gate, because that's the word that was translated in Enoch, especially, number one. And secondly, it does give you a true scientific terminology rather than something airy-fairy portal, like they've glorified in Hollywood. Okay, so the other one is, the other portal is above that, a gate, rather. And then another one is here, and then another one is above the equator, and then one is here, and then one is at the Tropic of Cancer, right on the tropic. And I think this one is also right on the equator, whereas this one is not, okay? So, and it takes 30 days for the sun to go from gate to gate.
Okay.
And it's said that these are in the east. Well, the moon is doing the same thing. She's going through the gates, but the sun takes 30 days. She takes 25.31. Now, I don't understand this properly yet, this 25.31, but I'm trying to nut this out. I'm working on the Book of Enoch and its cosmology, because obviously he was a stationary horizontal earther. There's no doubt about that. It's a flat earth cosmology, just like the Bible, just like astrology, which I have shown. Go on, you go.
It's in a unit of a day, but it has its own length in that particular unit of the day. And the day is the main thing where you can actually measure all the other circles from. Because the sun takes one day, in that sense, the 24-hour day. And then every other cycle is just according to that same cycle in another number.
Yeah. So when the sun and the moon are together, it's called Kodesh. Kodesh, Shabbat. Shabbat. Kodesh, that's when the sun and the moon are together in the new moon. So when the sun and the moon are together every month, conjunct, you won't see the moon until she reaches the 16th degree either side. So waxing, or let's say from the northern hemisphere, that's the waxing moon. That's the waning moon. That's the waxing moon. So you will only see the moon at the 16th degree, okay? Because in between there, moon is invisible. She's under the beams, according to astrology. Cannot be seen. No planets, no moon. That is 7%. 7%. The next day, the moon increases 7% for 14 days. And that's why Osiris, you see, Osiris gets chopped up into 14 pieces, yeah? Well, those are the 14 lunar mansions under the ecliptic. Because every day she adds 7% of her light until She's the full moon 14 days later. Okay? Now, that day when they are at the new moon, that's the Holy Sabbath. That's Kodesh. So that's the first day of every month, the 8th, the 15th, 22nd, and then the 29th, the 5th Sabbath of every month, becomes the first. And that is Kodesh. Now, in the Julio-Gregorian calendar, big problem. There's nothing wrong with it. It works. It's overlaid on top of the astrological calendar quite perfectly. No problems. Only it's a secular calendar because it starts in January. Here. Or rather here. Can you see this point here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because I can't see it because maybe if I take...
Oh, it's in the video.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
got all... I've got all the pictures of the photos of all the people in the chat blocking the bottom of my screen. How do I get rid of those?
In the top, you have the most left. In the middle, the most left one should be hide the participants. Dus,
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. As long as you can see it.
Did I hide it for you?
Yeah. In
Okay.
mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it shows. Now it
Otherwise,
hides.
don't worry.
Let me see.
Okay. Now, you've seen this many times, okay? People who've watched my presentations have seen me do this many times. So you know what this is. This does not need explanation, this wheel. In ancient Rome, March used to be called Primus. Second month, Secundus. Tertius, Quartus, Quintus, you get the point? March, April, May, June, July, August, Sept. Why is the ninth month? If you start in January, September is the ninth month, but Sept means 7. Because all of these months here were kept. The Romans changed these top 6. Well, they didn't change them. They were there. They were already there in the astrological calendar. They just used different names, but you can do this in any which way. But the point is, Primus began on March the 21st, like everything does, because it's number 1. And September 7 is always the middle of the year, the astrological year. So the Julio-Gregorian calendar, what they did was they shifted the start of the year from April 1st, and they did this up until 1748. In England, they always started the year here up until 1748, and they succumbed to the Julio-Gregorian calendar, the JC calendar, Anno Domini, Jesus Christ, Julius Caesar. And they started having the start of the year in January. And so the April 1st people, they were called April Fools because they respected March the 21st, the equinox. 10 days later, April 1st, is when you start the year in a secular way. But what they did was they shifted this 10-day thing from the 21st of December to the 1st of January. Now what you've done is you've taken the start of the year from its true spiritual home to its true secular home. Capricorn number 10 is the sign of human completion, the Kabbalistic tree, Kether, Malkuth, Ether, Urfa, 10, Aten, all is Aten. This what was I saying? What was the point? I've just digressed a bit. Anyway, it'll come back, no problem. So what they did, as you can see, is they shifted the focus onto a solar year by virtue of having a fixed day. See, Easter's not fixed. It's a moon, it's a lunar solar festivity. So Easter, Good Friday can happen on the 12th, can happen on the 1st of April, but it'll always happen in Aries. Very, very seldom does it happen here in Taurus on the 25th of April, but it does reach Taurus. Easter Sunday, that is. Or sorry, Easter Sunday. Because how it's done is it's calculated like this. It's the first full moon. It's the first Sunday, rather. Easter Sunday is always the first Sunday after the first full moon after this crossing. So this crossing happens, then they wait for the full moon, which will always happen at Nisan 14. The full moon, and that could happen on a Tuesday. So the Christians, the Catholics, they wait for the Sunday. So they have, after that Tuesday, they have Good Friday, Easter Saturday, Easter Sunday, Easter Monday. But it always happens in this period. So it's a lunar solar. That's why when you do lunar solar, you have the sun is Sol and the moon is Mon. She's mono, which is a Greek word for alone, and the sun is Sol, solo, which is the Latin word for alone. So Solomon is your body. The builder, Hiram Abith, is the Hiram above. And that is the same words, as I showed you last week, as other words like harmony, Harpocrates, and the moon. Hormones. How do you balance your Horus and your moons? So if we're going to have harmony and balanced hormones and a good temple of Solo Mono, our bodies, all in order, we have to go back to a lunar solar calendar, because that was how our cosmology came to us. Not solar, which is the Julian calendar. Okay, next question.
Okay, Santos. So I had a bit of a cough then. I had to mute myself. Claudio asked, Santos, if he is rewriting the Bible in a positive sense.
Well, that's a no-brainer, yes.
Okay, then. Caroline said, would you mind asking Santos if he plans for offering classes, seminars in person in Australia?
We'll be doing that soon. Yes, we're going to start retreats here, 2-week retreats, 4 times a year, 1 for each season. So what we're going to be doing is teaching all modalities of perfect living, permaculture, off the grid, detoxing, astrology, syncretism, all modalities, raw food living, vegan living, etc.
There you go then. Do you know roughly when that would be, Santos?
Well, this is the thing. I'm trying to get organised for that, but I think my preference would be. I mean, that's good, but the retreats are more one-on-one. But I think the best way to learn is like this. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to start these hangouts somewhere, somehow, to be actually a school with classes, so we can actually advance astrological wisdom. Because if I'm always touching on astrology, as I do, I syncretize everything. If I'm always mixing in all in syncretism in a coherent sort of a way, I will never actually be able to specialize in one area. Like, for instance, astrology. Astrology needs its own classes. We need to train up people how to interpret these energies along the ecliptic. And that's what a competent astrologer is.
Thank you, Santos. Another question here, Robbie. He asks, there any truths in the Bible stories other than being cosmology, as in literal that happened?
Well, first of all, you must understand the Bible is a book of truth. It's not a book of fact. And so the historical content in the Bible is purely just a post-redaction interpolation process where they use certain historical events as a device to bring down the eternal gospels and make them temporal. So the Romans did that with Jesus, Julius Caesar, JC, Anno Domini. It's the same thing. That's who Jesus is. It's the one who the calendar is named after. And our calendar is named after JC. Anno Domini is after Julius Caesar. This is something literalists will never accept, but that's how it is. So what they did was, what was the question again? I just need to refresh my...
So you were asking, there any truth to the Bible stories other than being cosmology, as in literal?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what they did was they took the Gospels and they took 4 of them, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and made those the canonized official versions. And they excluded millions of ancient Gospels, Gospel of Thomas, Gospel of Judas. There's millions, because forever Gospels have been written. They didn't start writing Gospels 2,000 years ago. The Romans only... Empire uses history as a device to legitimize their empire, so that now they have a savior and a god and someone that they can go killing other people for. He came, he told us a whole bunch of stuff. Now we're going to kill you for what he said, because you worship Osiris and Krishna and all of these other names. It's the same Christ in another name, but they're killing them because why? Because of the historical Jesus lie. That's why. He never came and he'll never return. This is the first coming and this is the second coming. And Perseus is always coming. You know, he comes in the morning, then he goes away at night. And then there's a second coming and a third coming. It's in the ecliptic. It's not in history. So we've got to understand that we're not looking for fact, mundane fact in the scriptures. We're looking for transcendental, eternal, atemporal truth. Atemporal. We're not looking for temporal bits. It's no use arguing about whether Jesus sneezed or whether he yawned or whether he blew his nose or whether he farted or whether he burped. No, he farted. Well, I'm going to kill you because you said he burped. Historical, anything that he ever did historically has got nothing to do with our lives anyway. So if he did come historically and lived and did all those things, it has nothing to do with us. It's gone. It's dead and dusted. It's gone. Eternity is with us, not the past. The past is dead and gone. Sure, we can get lessons from the past, yes. Great lessons from great men and women who have bequeathed powerful lessons to us. But the Gospels are Gospels, okay? I'll do a show on how to write Gospels one day. I did it when I was in England in 2013 in Birmingham. I called it the art of gospel writing. It's a shame they never put it up, Truth Juice. Lazy bums. I did 14 presentations all over England. I went to Leicester, I went to Hull, I went to St Anne's, Bristol, Brighton, Manchester. I was all over the place. They hadn't put one up. The only two that were up are the ones I did in Glastonbury and Stonehenge, and that was not from Truth Juice. So if anyone knows Truth Juice, let them know that I'm not happy. And I'm giving Truth Juice a very, very bad name, because they dishonoured the contract. I said, I don't want money. All I want is you to film the presentations and share them with the world. Not on my channel, on your channel. Give it to the world. And they didn't do it. Okay? So the art of gospel writing. Tell them that you want to see that presentation and demand it. Lazy bums.
Santos, there's another question from David Rocker. He says, what Santos take on when Jesus cast those demons onto the pigs?
Again, the ecliptic is the teacher and the biochemistry of the ecliptic in your body. When you cast out demons, you are casting out undeveloped, bad, evil thoughts. You see, this shows you how literary the Bible is. Do you think that the God of the literal Old Testament would tell you to go into the promised land and kill all the children, all the old men, all the women, except for the virgins? We've got to keep those ones. They're pretty handy. And the pregnant women, you cut their bellies open and you grab their unborn babies from their feet and you dash them against the crag. That's not literal. When the Quran says to go and kill the infidels, it's not literal. The infidels are the immature, undeveloped thoughts and emotions that you have. We all have them. They are the little children because they are not childlike, they are childish. Because Jesus said we need to be childlike, but not childish. So if we've got these childish ideas about Jesus, Jesus was wearing nappies when he came as a God. Oh boy, the elements could have killed our Lord and Savior. He was in that manger, poor little Jesus. The manger is on here. So Christmas, which I'll show you how Christmas works. It's on here. The star, I'll do that later, hang on. Just put the Star of Bethlehem here. Maybe just the sixth one. Is it the six-pointed star on top of the Christmas tree, or is it the pentagram? Anyway, that you can show is all on here. The literalisms of the Bible is killing us. Whereas the truth is transcendental and is freeing us.
Okay, Santos, there's another question here. I know that you actually touched on this last week, but Time in the chat room wanted to ask you, what was your take on Nibiru?
Not much, because I don't accept the Zechariah Sitchin's model of it, and I believe that Nibiru is possibly just a phenomena that occurs within the dome. So obviously we know that we don't have freaking rocks flying through the dome and the comets and all that. It's all phenomena that occurs in the between the firmament and the dome.
Thank you, Santos. Well, I haven't got any more questions right now. I might have missed a couple in the chat room, but that's the questions I had so far, Santos, I picked up.
All right, well, I'll finish with one more thing
Aaron?
then.
Okay.
I did have a lot more to share, but it's probably best to do it in another part. If we do a part 3 in the future, I want to continue from this, okay? Because I've got many examples of astrologers teaching how to do this. This is not, you know, for some reason people are so dumbed down that they think that this is my stuff. I see this everywhere. I see this when I'm having breakfast. I see this when I'm walking.
You mean they could see it as well, Santos? If they wanted to, they could see it as well.
Sure. Okay, here's Christmas. This is what happens at Christmas, okay? Christmas happens here in December, 25th of December. We already worked out that it's the start of a positive waxing cycle. It's AM, anti-meridian, it's that side. This is the positive side, this is the negative side. So when you look at it, realistically, what you've got here is, this is positive. So this half gets a positive by action, by active. By passive, this is negative because it's below this line. Anything below is negative. So this quadrant is positive and negative because it's positive because of its action of waxing, but it's negative because of its reaction or passivity as a patient to being in this position here. Now, this, on the other hand, is positive by its waxing action, and it's also positive by position. Here we have positive by action up to this point, then it becomes negative. Everything here is negative by position and by action. And here you also have negative by position because it's actually waning. So you see that only springtime, which is the golden age, silver is the afternoon, autumn and winter is nothing but morning, afternoon, evening and night, spring, summer, autumn, winter. See your plus, plus and your negative, negative? Because this is where plus happens. Sun exalts, resurrects on Nisan 17. All the action happens here. This chakra is called the Sahasrara chakra. Sahasrara, the top chakra, the crown chakra, yeah? Sara, Sahasra, Ra. And Noah lands on Mount Ararat. Ra, Ra-T, Ararat. It's all about Ra, right ascension of meridian. All Ra, cerebram, happens here. So what we've got in the Christmas story is this. Orion and his 3 stars are pointing to Sirius in Cancer. The beautiful blue, brightest star in the sky is always here, on top of the meridian. That's where she lives. This is the Christmas tree. And you put your Christmas tree here at the bottom. You see, Jesus is born in a manger. Well, the manger is here in Cancer. Because when you look up at midnight on Christmas, all through the Christmas, January and December and January, you look up at midnight and you'll see this star above your head. Not directly above your head, depends what latitude you're living on, but above your head in the MC, on the ecliptic. It could be that high if you're in Finland, but if you're in, say, Ecuador, Sirius will be right above your head. But the point is, it reaches the zenith at Christmas. You look up, you'll see this, Sirius, and you'll see the three wise men who followed the star of the east and followed it to where the star stopped above where the child was born, in a manger. Well, that's the manger, because it's called the manger. It's called the honeypot in Cancer. It's an asterism in Cancer. And it's got a donkey. It's got Asinellus major or Asinellus australis and Asinellus borealis, the twins. So you see, Cancer has Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. It has two donkeys in it. Gemini has two twins. It has Canis Major and Canis Minor in it. Argos is the boat, the bark of Ra, Noah's Ark, that carries in two of all the animals, two twins, two dogs, two bears, two donkeys. So when you look up at Christmas Day, Christmas midnight, you're seeing the manger, and the Bible said that the shepherds were outdoors. Well, that's here, because the flocks are in Capricorn. And so the shepherds, the goat, because they're also goat herds in Capricorn, and the manger's always full of a cow. There's always, what animals do you see in the manger? A cow, a lamb, a horse, a donkey, Asinellus australis, Asinellus borealis. What else do you see? A goat, Capricorn. And so the shepherds that are outdoor, they are the pastors, or the ones who are checking the stores. And every time you look up, you'll see the three wise men who come from the east. You see, what you'll see, you look east, you'll see Orion. And the three wise men, the belt of Orion, is pointing pretty much almost straight at Sirius. There's a little bit of a, you have to use your imagination. It's a little bit offset, only by about 4 or 5 degrees. But those three stars, they're always pointing to the east. And at midnight, they always stop at the zenith. And that's on the 24th of December, midnight. Sirius is there. Those guys are lining up with that, the three wise men. The manger's all in order. Everything is on here, guys. Hercules, you're looking for Perseus, Pegasus, Cinderella, Humpty Dumpty, Pinocchio.
Santos, when you said anybody else with nursery rhymes, so what's Twinkle Twinkle Little Star then?
Well, again, a star twinkles, yeah? So it's acknowledging its light. How I wonder what you are. The reason you wonder what a star is because even the academicians and the mainstream scientists, they'll tell you something every day that's different about what a star is. They're changing their story every day if you pay attention, because they're clueless. But out of the mouths of babes, twinkles, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the sky so high. So it's basically teaching children to be astrologers, isn't it? You see our culture? Why do we call children young stars? Come on, youngster, do you want a gold star? You're going to be a star one day.
Yeah.
Sister. Brathios, brother. Brother, a brother is a breather. A buddy is a body. Say hello to my buddy. Why do you call him a buddy? You're talking about his body. So when you call your brother a brother, you're calling him a breather. Brathios, the breath of Ra. The star of Isis, your sister. Sarah. You see, Sarah, the wife of Abraham, this is how people think that everything's literal. Sarah was not literal. You know the Saraswati River in Egypt, in India? It dried out. You see how the Bible says, and Sarah became barren, and she dried out and had no more progeny after she had Isaac. And then Abraham had to go to his concubine Hagar to have Ishmael. But Sarah only produced at the age of 90, and she was barren. It's talking about Brahma and Saraswati, the Saraswati River. It's going back to that historical moment, showing how historical events are used as devices to bring down the Gospels to the mundane level of empire. See, so you've got Brahma, Brahma, and Saraswati. Sarah, and take the A from there and put it there. Abram and Sarah. And Sarah is Ceres. Ceres is the cerebrum. That's why you have, at the 15th of April every year, you celebrate Cerealia. And the 15th of April is where the analema crosses over. The midpoint of the figure 8 analema. That point there, when the sun goes up, that's the 15th of April. When it goes down, it's the 29th of August. It's called the beheading of St. John the Baptist Day. Why is the 29th of August, when the sun is going down, coming down here, waning, and the 29th of August is smack bang right here in Virgo, and the Virgin was the one who danced for Herod. Herod is the sun, hero. Herod is the hero, the sun. And Virgo, King Herod says, dance, and I will give you half of my kingdom. And she said, I don't want half the kingdom, I want John the Baptist's head. And they put that on the 29th of August, right where the sun crosses over. Here is the equator, here is the Tropic of Cancer, here is the Tropic of Capricorn. That date there is the 15th of April, Cerealia, the birthday of Sri Ram. And then on the way down, it's the celebration of the beheading of St. John the Baptist. Well, St. John the Baptist Day is here. It's pinned to the June 21st solstice. And his cousin, who's 6 months younger, his birthday is pinned to the 21st of December solstice. John the Baptist says, he will go on increasing, I will go on decreasing. So the 24th of June, the birthday of St. John the Baptist is directly opposite the 25th of December, the birthday of his 6 month younger cousin. And he says, he will go on increasing and I shall go decreasing. It's the solstices.
That crossing point seems to be also exactly the golden ratio between the tropics. If one is below, then the 0.61 is the one on top.
Yep.
And it happens to be actually lining up with the whole elevation data. When you exactly take that position as the center of the flower of life grid, then all the elevation lines up with the 4 pillars. Based on the flower of life, based on the main square.
Well, the flower of life is magnetism. That's magnetic. That's how magnetism unfurls through that flower. It's a seed. It's a blueprint. That's why the scripture says that all animals come from their seed, and all trees and all plants come from their seed.
Seed.
It's blueprint. Seed. So Pinocchio, pineal gland. Occhio, like ocular, means eye. So Pinocchio, he wants to be real, doesn't he? Because he wants to open up his third eye and hence not tell lies so his nose doesn't grow. He wants to stop being tricked by all the tricksters, and he wants to grow and be a real man. That's what Pinocchio means. This was written by a Freemason in the 1800s, and he was telling us the same story as all the other stories. Name your nursery rhyme, name your fairy tale, name your hero, and I'll put him on here and show you where he comes from.
I never thought about nursery rhymes fitting into it all, Santos.
Well, I haven't even done nursery rhymes, but what I'll do really quickly is I will...
One other thing, Santos, Ceres sees that the astrology fits into his work, don't you, Ceres?
Yeah, completely.
For sure.
Your personal perspective and how the celestial sphere is actually working. And well, yeah, I guess that we get confused by taking the Earth as a whole being the center of that, instead of actually taking ourselves as the center of that particular sphere, because it's your personal position on the plane what makes the focal point within the sphere on how it actually focuses us from above. And as you move over the plane, the wheel will turn the same. And then you have the time what will turn the wheel also. It's on its steady schedule. But your own position makes a difference as well. That's why they need your city of birth, because that actually aligns your longitudinal position on the wheel, and how you have to look at the wheel, and where then the horizon is.
Yeah, spot on, brother. That's why astrology is a science of degrees, minutes, and seconds of arc, Noah's Ark. We don't muck around. We are the true scientists. We know the ecliptic. We know how all phenomena occurs. We know how all religious theologies and sciences are based. We know all alchemy. We know all the secrets of the universe through the grace of God, the ecliptic. Now, I'll just show you quickly. I'll flick through this. I haven't touched on the nursery rhymes, guys. Here is a whole presentation I've done, and I've used one of Aleister Crowley's wonderful books on nursery rhymes and his insights into nursery rhymes and the ecliptic. And that is in this presentation. So I'm going to be very generous here. I'll finish off with this, and I'm going to share this, just flicking through it, so that the listeners can do their own research. Okay, here we go. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, this is another one of my presentations, unreleased. Okay, got volumes of stuff, guys. I'm going to click through here. Okay, so it says every nursery rhyme contains profound magical secrets which are open to everyone who has made a study of the correspondences of the Holy Kabbalah. These are the words of Crowley, actually. I just put them in there. Book 4, okay? There you go. Old Mother Hubbard. What does it mean? Little Bo Peep. Notice the bow. Bo is Buddha, okay? By, to. Little Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet. That's the tuffet. Toffet. Little Jack Horner. Another Jack. It's the sun. Christmas pie. He's eating Christmas pie, is he? Oh, yeah, because Jack, the sun, is born at Christmas. Jack be nimble, Jack be quick. The Union Jack. There it is, what I showed you before, the Vatican. St. Peter's Square, obelisk in the middle. And you see all the... these are the 4 statues on top of the colonnade. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the Tropic of Cancer.
It is laid out over the earth. Those are the 4 pillars.
Yep. Yep.
out of it. In the first circle, these are the four pillars.
Yep, and you can see here there's a YouTube video that shows this. This video link down the bottom here, that's called, the title of the video is a 12-minute video showing you the Vatican St. Peter's Square is a sundial, and it says it's called Christianity Revealed, Solar Worship. Jack and the Beanstalk, what does it mean? Jack and Jill. Tom Tom, Tom Tom, all these are Tom. Hickory Dickory Dock, that's your spinal column. The mouse is the soul. The soul runs up the clock. The clock strikes one. Of course it's going to strike unity, isn't it? Unity, that's the clock. There it is. There's one. It's your chakra system. Humpty Dumpty. Peter, Peter, pumpkin eater. I used to sing that to my brother Peter. Taffy was a Welshman. Bye bye baby bunting. Daddy's gone a hunting. Pat a cake, baker's man. All right, guys, I'm just going to scroll through the rest. You can close off the show if you haven't got questions. I think we've done enough.
One more question just from Karen B in the chat room, Santos. She just wanted to know if you could recommend a book to begin learning astrology.
I would get Thomas H. Burgoyne, Volume 2. I read from Volume 1 today. Get Volume 2. Get Firmicus Maternus, Mathesios. Get Bonacci, 800-year-ago astrologer. Get Ptolemy. Get those ones. Ptolemy's is the Tetrabiblios, which I've been using in my presentations of late. Firmicus Maternus is called Mathesios. Get that one. Very good one, that one. And get Bonatti. Those are the best. I'm going to do a show from Bonatti showing you how astrology is based on the ecliptic in another show. That's if you'll invite me back.
Of course we will, Santos.
Alrighty.
So now for 3.5 hours, I think probably it's best to end that hang out with Santos, and we can just have a word with Santos afterwards. Wilson, Aaron, Series, come back. We have a group hug for Santos and for the chat room and everybody watching. Come back, everybody.
I'm here. I didn't go anywhere.
Aaron? Oh, well, they're obviously listening. So much, Santos. We're amazed, as always. Thank you so much for all your explanations. And, yes, we want you to come back. And also, Aaron, I'm not sure where Aaron is, but you said you'd be interested in listening to Aaron again talking about his plan with the NASA.
Yeah, well, that one needs a separate show altogether. But as for presentations, they need to be separate as well. But I will join that hangout when you do that with Aaron, because I'll be there to support for sure.
Yeah. So we're going to give Santos and everybody in the chat room and everybody who's going to watch hug from us. Very much. Yay. Thank you, Santos.
Namaste. Hare Krishna.
Anyway, thank you, everybody, for watching. We're back tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So thanks again and see you tomorrow. And a big mwah for Santos. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much.